Hi everyone, and welcome to another JcInventory tutorial. My name's Jack, and today we're going to be learning how to get the JcInventory actor onto the Survival Tom Lumen pawn. So to do this, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to our world settings. They're set to default. I believe that's because we go down to edit. Whoops, not. There's maps and modes, and then you've got so the default game mode's the survival co-op mode set up. So let's just have a look at that, and you'll see that the default pawn class that the game uses is the player pawn. So this is the pawn we're going to move JcInventory into. You'll also see that it uses its own HUD, the survival HUD, and we're going to have to move the code from the JcInventory HUD over to survival HUD. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the player pawn. I'm going to click Open Full Blueprint Editor, and I'll try to keep it all in one window. And we're going to go to JcInventory, Demo, JcInventory Character, and this is a great example to work off for what code we need to put into the player pawn to make it all work. Okay. So, the most important thing in the JcInventory pawn is that we actually spawn our inventory to track all our items. I'm going to go ahead and lift all this code from the JcInventory character and pop it straight into the player pawn. Now we've got a variable here, JcPlayerInventory. We need to create a variable, JcPlayerInventory, and we need this to be replicated onto the server. Okay. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add the JC player interface. So we look at our JcInventory character, we'll see it has two interfaces, one of those being the JcPlayerInventory interface. So let's go to our player pawn, click Class Settings, and type JcPlayerInventory interface. Then we're going to save. Then we've got to grab all our RPC functions. So in the JcInventory character, if we come over and expand the event graph, you'll see the RPC graph. We're going to basically copy and paste this entire graph into our new player pawn. Now, it doesn't quite work to copy it all at once. I'll show you what happens. Simply because this custom function needs to be declared before you can paste these in. So if we do that, and I will admit a small part of me is hoping this is going to work in 4.8, but I'm quite sure it won't. As copy and pasting, yes. So that's the effect you get. Because you're pasting in the implementation at the same time as calling the functions, it doesn't work. So what we're going to do is, I found, of course, the laziest way to do this is to select just the implementation of all these custom functions. And I have a video on this in more detail. So I'm just going to blaze through this now. It's one of the frustrating things about working in Blueprint. Now this doesn't have any custom implementation, so we can just copy that whole thing. Almost there. Control C. A few times for luck. And Control V. So that's all our custom events. Now we've just got to select the interfaces. Copy and paste. We'll just try to line them all up. That looks pretty good. What's going on down here? Okay. That last one didn't go in. So we'll try that again. There we go. And we'll just quickly check them. That all looks pretty spot on. I think we are in the business. Okay. We're not finished with the interfaces just yet. See this interface here? Under interfaces, get player inventory interface. We need to insert our JC player inventory that has the replication into that return node. Fantastic. The next thing we're going to work on is the HUD. So we'll open the JcInventory HUD and we'll come and find the survival HUD, which is under UI. And we'll add in the same interface. So this HUD is using the JC HUD interface. All we need to do is add the JC interface HUD into there. And then we need to copy and paste a few chunks of code. So we've got the setup user interface. I'm going to copy and paste that. And then we've got a few variables to set from here. So the quick bar we need a reference to the quick bar. So we're going to create a variable quick bar. These don't need a replication because the HUD only exists in the client. So we're going to make a reference to the user interface as well. Okay. And then we've got get user interface widget on the left hand side, and similar to the player pawn, we're going to add in a reference to user interface. And we'll save that. A few more local variables. Establish timeout. Now, this chunk of code here is all from the bug fixes. If you've just got the marketplace release of 4.8 quick slot release, you won't have this code. You'll have to implement this bug fix. If you're using 4.9, you should have this. I would hope. So you want to make that int establish timeout a local variable. And let's, okay, there we go. And in my spawn pawn fix video, it goes over why that's important. Okay, great. So now we can establish our pawn. We just need to implement a few interface functions. We should be able to just copy and paste this. And that one's quite easy. These functions are things like request quick slot or open item container, which we're going to be using later, hand visibility, things that our pawn's actually going to call to interface with our HUD. And of course, We'll just check. That seems to be everything. Good stuff. Okay, so we play our game. We're still not going to have any of this actually showing just yet. So there's a few more changes we need to make. We're going to go back to the player pawn, and we're going to go to the event graph somewhere near begin play. We're going to have to add in a little bit more code. So we go to the event graph, and we need to do something on possessed, and that's set up the HUD on the client. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy the setup HUD code, and we'll place it into our player pawn just under begin play. Now we have that command, we can say on possessed we're going to set up our HUD on the client, which basically just will go through, and at the moment it's casting to the JcInventory HUD, but we're going to change that to the survival HUD. Survival HUD. And then set up inventory HUD. And you'll see, just to explain this function, on possessed, on the owning client of the pawn, we're just going to say to the HUD to essentially create and draw all the widgets to screen. Okay. So let's know how we went. Well, actually, we have no way to open any of JcInventory because we don't have any key to bind. So we're going to quickly add in a key. So we're going to go to project settings. We're going to go to input, and we're going to set up an action mapping. So new action mapping, open inventory key. Okay, and we're going to make that the I key. Okay. Now in our pawn, we're going to make a function called open inventory key, and on pressed, let's have a look at the JcInventory code. On pressed, we get the player controller and we get the HUD, we get the user interface, and we call show hide inventory. I'm actually going to be a touch lazy and just copy that code, because why reinvent the wheel? So we're using that interface we set up before. That's actually going to return the user widget. That's frustrating. There we go. That returns the user widget, that is the JC user interface widget, and then we're going to call this function on it, the show hide inventory function. On toggle mode, it toggles it fairly self-explanatory. So now, very excitingly, we can test that. Currently not working. So I had a quick problem with how I was copy and pasting functions. Here, when I copied and pasted this code from the JcInventory HUD, which was the setup user interface, I didn't paste this command. So in my survival HUD, you'll see after the delay, it doesn't call back on itself. So I've just got to put in set up user JcInventory HUD. And that's just the nature of copy and pasting blueprints, unfortunately. You need to really be careful not to get stuck out. And that's because when we pasted the command, it was creating the custom event. but the custom event was also calling itself, so the paste didn't work. Okay, so hopefully I won't embarrass myself again. This is indeed being called, and we're probably not going to get our core, but I bet we do now. Yes. So if I go ahead and click 1, I've got a JcInventory. I've also got my quick slot. Of course, I can't pick up items. So that pretty much sums up the tutorial. Thank you very much. And in the next tutorial, we're going to be looking at how we can implement picking up items and hand icons and things like that for basic item interaction. Okay.